Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm feeling so small, so humble Vaishnavas, please bless me that I can deliver the message of Srila Prabhupada. Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihare. Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihare. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhare. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Parthasardi Radhe. Jayo Gauranitai, Jayo Gauranitai. Jayo Sitaram, Lakshman Hanuman, Sitaram, Jayo Lakshman Hanuman. Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada. Narayana Namaskritcham Narvachaivam Narottamam Devin Sarasvatin Vyasham Naturjaya udiraya nasta pradeshu abhidreshu nityam Bhagavata sevaya Bhagavata uttama sloke Naturjaya udiraya. Hare Krishna. Usually when I start a class, I would like to speak a little glories of Srila Prabhupada. There was once in India, Atma Tattva Prabhu gave this pastimes. So one day, this one Indian gentleman came to see Prabhupada, and he met Atma Tattva Prabhu. And in the mid-70s, it is very difficult to actually come and see Prabhupada in person because, many people are seeing Prabhupada. So, and then this person, he said that I wanted to see Prabhupada. So then Atma Tattva Prabhu said, usually Prabhupada will give darshan at 6 o'clock. So you come slightly before 6 o'clock. And if Krishna permits, we will allow you to see Prabhupada in Prabhupada calls. So the man said, okay. And the next day he came at about 5 o'clock. Very interesting again. In Indian culture, what he did was he took a tray, some auspicious items, some bitter leaves, some bananas, some fruits, some flowers, auspicious items. Indians, it's our culture when we go and see some sadhus. So interestingly, that day at 5 o'clock, Prabhupada servant came out and said that today Prabhupada's darshan is starting early, so therefore anybody is waiting can come. So this particular gentleman, he was just there alone. And then he was alone, and Atma Tattva Prabhu was so surprised. And then, so he was there, and he was with Prabhupada. So incidentally, he had his beads with him. So then Prabhupada asked him, Prabhupada, what do you want? Then the gentleman said, I want to get initiated by you, Prabhupada. So Atma Tattva Prabhu, in his mind, he said, getting initiated from Prabhupada in the mid-70s, late 70s is very difficult. He said, anybody wants to get initiated, what they will do? They'll say, first you go and wash the toilet first. Then you suddenly move up and then, you get yourself ready. So Prabhupada looked at this gentleman, ever merciful Prabhupada. Prabhupada has taught us everything, is so merciful, Prabhupada. Prabhupada immediately said, you want to get initiated? So immediately Prabhupada said, give me your beads. Prabhupada. So the gentleman hands Prabhupada his beads. And Prabhupada started chanting on his beads. Do you know how to chant? Prabhupada says. And then Prabhupada takes his beads. And Prabhupada goes bead by bead. He said, you chant like this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he goes one after one after one. And Prabhupada completes the 108 rounds. And Prabhupada gives him the beads. Prabhupada practically initiated somebody. Prabhupada gave him the beads. And Prabhupada said, now you chant Hare Krishna. And the man went back, chanted Hare Krishna, and a few months later he just left his body. Probably went and attained Prabhupada. So this is the glories of Prabhupada. We just sometimes, we don't understand, we don't realize how important Prabhupada has left this legacy behind for us. Prabhupada has left us diamonds, gems for us. There was another pastime of Prabhupada. Prabhupada has a disciple, a French sannyasi. He was a French sannyasi. And he was serving Prabhupada in Paris. In 1977, Prabhupada leaves his body. When Prabhupada left his body, this French sannyasi couldn't take a movement without Prabhupada. There were so many people who were there because of Prabhupada. Prabhupada's purity, they were just attached to Prabhupada. So he just couldn't carry on the movement without seeing Prabhupada there. So what he did, slowly he left the movement. And once he left the movement, he started breaking principles one by one. And finally he contracted AIDS. He was on the dying bed. He was on the dying bed. And suddenly he sits up and he says, Prabhupada, you have come. And he just falls back and he dies. So this is Prabhupada. So our only job is to be attached to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. And everything else will be fine for us. Everything else will just fall in place. We just have to surrender and we just have to be attached to Prabhupada and Prabhupada's teachings. So we'll go to Prabhupada's first teaching of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam today. It's written there, okay. How do I go? Word by word?
It's not a sloka, so you can just go word meaning.
Okay, alright. Okay, so I just go word by word. Okay. Iti, thus. Ha, sma, indeed. Sakala, all. Veda, of knowledge, loka, of people in general, deva, of demigods, brāhmaṇa, of the brāhmaṇas, gavam, of the cows, parama, the supreme, guru, master, Bhāgavata, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ṛṣabhadeva, whose name was Lord Ṛṣabhadeva, Vishuddha, pure, achitram, activities, iritam, now explain, pumsam, of every living entity, samasta, all, duscharita, sinful activities, habhiharanam, destroying, parama, foremost, maha, great, mangala, of auspiciousness, ayanam, the shelter, idam, this, anusradhya, with faith, upachitaya, increasing, anusnoti, hearing from the authority, asryavayati, speaking to others, va, or, avahita, being attentive, Bhagavati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, tasmin, unto him, Vāsudeva, the Lord Vāsudeva, Lord Krishna, eka antata, unflinching, bhakti, devotion, anayo, of both groups, the listeners and the speakers, api, certainly, samanuvartate, factually begins. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Śukadeva Gosvāmī continued, Lord Ṛṣabhadeva is the master of all Vedic knowledge, human beings, demigods, cows and brāhmaṇas. I have already explained his pure transcendental activities, which will vanquish the sinful activities of all living entities. This narration of Lord Ṛṣabhadeva's pastime is the reservoir of all auspicious things. Whoever attentively hears or speaks of them, following in the footsteps of the ācāryas, will certainly attain unalloyed devotional service at this lotus feet of Lord Vāsudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all of you all are very fortunate. All of you all are going to get the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, pure devotional service. Purport. The teaching of Lord Ṛṣabhadeva are for the people of all yugas. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Drapada Yuga, and especially Kali Yuga. These instructions are so powerful that even in this age of Kali, one can attain perfection simply by explaining by the instructions, following the footsteps of the ācāryas, or listening to the instructions will give great attention. If one does so, one can attain the platform of pure devotional service to Lord Vāsudeva. The pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees are recorded in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, so that those who recite these pastimes and listen to them will become purified. Nityam Bhāgavata Sevaya. As the matter of principle, devotee should read, speak and hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam persistently, 24 hours daily if possible. This is the recommendation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kirtanaya Sadahari. One should either chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and thereby try to understand the characteristics and instructions of the Supreme Lord, who appeared as Lord Ṛṣabhadeva, Lord Kapila and Lord Krishna. In this way, one can become fully aware of the transcendental nature of Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, one who knows the transcendental nature of the Lord's birth and activities, attain liberation from material bondage and returns to Godhead. Until what time is the class? 8:30. Okay. Hare Krishna. So we have been reading about the activities of Lord Ṛṣabhadeva. So now it comes to the activities. But more importantly, we should understand the teachings of Lord Ṛṣabhadeva. Lord Ṛṣabhadeva taught us 6 things. 6 things. Basically, the whole Ṛṣabhadeva, you can conclude it in 6 great lessons. The first thing what he taught us is this human life is very, very precious. He says you have to be very fortunate to have this human life. And for us, it becomes a greater fortune because we are the human life and we are associated with this Gaudiya, Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. Why is it so special? Is because only our Sampradaya, because of the coming of Mahaprabhu and Prabhupada, have taught us the highest destination of life, the highest goal of life. What is the highest goal of life? The highest goal of life is Krishna Prem. No, it's not Vishnu Prem, it's not any other Prem, it's Krishna Prem. Only Mahaprabhu and Prabhupada's teaching us Krishna Prem. So we are the fortunate among the fortunate. Everybody who is a human being is fortunate because they have given some opportunity for us to realize God, to understand God, and to serve God. So that is where the whole platform of bhakti comes. When we talk about the definition of bhakti is very simple. Mahaprabhu says definition of bhakti is to love and serve Krishna unconditionally. That is bhakti. That means if you have any conditions, then it does not come under bhakti anymore. To love and serve Krishna unconditionally. So we have that opportunity. As human beings, every human being has the opportunity to love and serve Krishna unconditionally. So number 1, Ṛṣabhadeva teaches us this human life is so precious. We should not go and do outside labor. The analogy that they give is like a horse. When the horse runs very fast, finally what happens? The mouth has foams. The mouth has foams. And it's like human beings. You know, when they work very hard materialistically, I want to have a bigger house, I want to have a bigger car, I want to have a more beautiful wife. You know, and what happens? You have to keep on working harder and harder and harder. And material life is never satisfied. It is like chewing a chewing gum. Prabhupada says it's chewing gum. Chewing gum you can chew. Initially it's very, very nice. But after some time, when the chewing gum goes, it becomes a problem in the mouth. Something in the mouth. I should take it out. Ācāryas explain a pastime, an analogy. He said there is a prince, and a tiger is chasing the prince. A tiger is chasing the prince, and he runs and he falls in a well. As he's falling down, he manages to catch 2 branches. He manages to catch 2 branches and he's hanging on to the branches. As he sees down, he sees a lot of snakes there, hissing snakes. And then he sees 2 mouse on the branch. It's biting the branch. And then there is a bee that is chasing him. And then from the bee, there's a bee and a beehive, and there's 1 drop of honey that is falling. So, and he forgets about the tiger on the top. He forgets about the snake. He forgets about the 2 mouse. He forgets about the bee circulating. Our own intent, the prince's intention is that honey that is dropping. So the analogy is, the tiger is death personified. The death personified, whatever happens, is always looking at us, waiting for us. It is inevitable. Death is something, when you're born, death is confirmed for us. That's why everybody, once there was a discussion between Prabhupada and a sadhu who was sitting. So Prabhupada asked him, what do you teach? He says that I teach the art of living. And then he asked Prabhupada, what are you teaching? Prabhupada says, I teach the art of dying. So the movement is training for us to how to live the body, because we have to understand that we are not this body. Ultimately, we are this Atma. So this tiger is the death personified. This snake The snake down there is all our daily issues. We have problems every day. Flu, fever, cough, family, vehicles. Every day we have some problems. And the bees around us, it's all our family, our relations. We have attachments, jobs. And the mouse relates to day and night. Every day there's a day, every day there's a night. So it's nibbling, it's finishing us. But what are we interested in? What was the prince interested in? The prince was not interested in death. He was not interested in his issues. He was just interested on all the satisfaction he was getting. That one drop of honey that fell on him. So this is happening. So first teaching of Ṛṣabhadeva is, this human body, this human life, use it purposefully. And what is the purpose? The purpose is to understand God, to understand Krishna. That was number one. Second one, he speaks about austerity and penance. In Bhagavad-Gita text 18, chapter 18, text 5, Krishna says that sacrifice, austerity and sacrifice, charity and penance has to be done by everybody, including great souls. That's what Krishna says in chapter 18, text 5. So austerity, charity and penance. So Ṛṣabhadeva is teaching us that austerity and penance is very, very important. What's the difference between austerity and what's the difference between penance? Austerity is something to control our body, whereas penance is something to control our mind. So there's a big difference. Getting up early in the morning, that's to control our body. There's a difference between controlling our body and controlling our mind. So controlling our mind is, chanting our rounds attentively. That is to control our mind. But control our body is to regulate our body. Get up in the morning, sleep on time, eat enough, half full of food, quarter full of water, quarter full of air. Krishna, being very merciful in Kali Yuga, very, very merciful in Kali Yuga, Krishna decides to appear in 5 different forms in Kali Yuga. Very interesting. First, Krishna appears as his holy name. That's why we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. First, Krishna appears in his name. Second, Krishna appears in Bhāgavatam, in scriptures. So that's why this verse he says, you can either chant or read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam because it's non-different. Nityam Bhāgavata Sevaya. Number 2. Number 3, Krishna appears as ācāryas. Krishna explains, in Kali Yuga there is a secret. The secret of Kali Yuga, to advance quickly in Kali Yuga, the secret is they always say, follow the footsteps of the previous ācāryas. Why? Because in Kali Yuga, Krishna has subcon mercy and blessings to the ācāryas. So it's ācāryas who are actually holding everything in Kali Yuga. Number 3, Krishna comes as ācāryas. Number 4, Krishna comes as Prasad. In Prasad, that's a Lord Jagannath story. Every day we offer Prasad. Why? Because it's Krishna. And number 5, Krishna appears as, just in the tip of my tongue. Yes, deity form, correct. So 5. First, Krishna appears as the holy name. Krishna appears as Bhāgavatam. Krishna appears as deities. Krishna Archa Vigraha. Krishna appears as ācāryas. And Krishna appears as Prasadam. Now, of all this, which is the most difficult to realize? Which is the most difficult to realize? Can we understand Prasad? Deity? Which is the one most? And why? The most difficult one to realize is Krishna as Prasad. Why? If we looked at Krishna as Prasad, we will honor it. We will not eat Prasad. We will honor Prasad. Would we throw Krishna in the rubbish? Would we throw Krishna in the garbage? We won't. But Prasad, how many of us throw in the, I can't eat this, it's not nice. Throw it in the garbage. So that is why Prasad is the most difficult one to understand in Kali Yuga. Right? Okay. So number 2, Ṛṣabhadeva's first teaching was on human life has to be used for purposefully. Number 2, any living soul has to do austerity and penance. Number 3, cut out all material attachments. Material attachment is the one that is dragging us down. It's just like that story of that prince and the prince, the snakes. Material attachment. Somehow we are attached with something. And Maya Devi, there's a book by Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj called Maya. If you read that book, Maya Devi is an energy of Krishna and is trained in such a way that if Maya Devi finds a crack in our lives, some means, a crack, and Maya Devi will go and hit the crack until we break. So it is our job to ensure we are protected so that Maya Devi doesn't hit us. And how to protect us? Chanting Hare Krishna. Krishna says 5 things. Rupa Gosvāmī in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he gives us 64 forms of devotional service. Then he understands, we cannot do 64. Right? So he says, okay, let's think about doing 5. Number 1, Rupa Gosvāmī says, chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is the most crucial one. Number 2, he says, Archa Vigraha, worship of deity. Worship of deity. Worship of deity not means, I literally must do Abhishek, I literally must know, I literally must do Arati. No. Worship of Abhishek, worship of deities means attending the program. That itself is a worship of deities, number 2. Number 3, he says, read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And then the 4th one, he says, do Tulasi worship. He says, recite in Holy Dham. Right, he says, recite in Holy Dham. But then, you all are very fortunate. You all are in Holy Dham. Right? This is Holy Dham. This is where, Krishna used to come here. But we live in Malaysia, all Malichas. So how are we supposed to convert our homes into holy dhams? So Rupa Goswami says, sit and do Tulasi worship every day. When you start worshipping Tulasi Maharani is so pure and so dear to Krishna, and we start doing Tulasi worship, automatically that place becomes holy dham. So everybody who is not residing in temple, who is at home doing daily jobs, they must make a point to do Tulasi Arti, Tulasi worship every day. So this is how it goes. So material attachment. And number 4, Ṛṣabhadeva says, start serving Mahatmas. The word he used, Mahatmas. Mahatmas in pure context is one who has given up all material attachments and has surrendered to Lord. That is Mahatmas. So who are Mahatmas? Our sadhus, our sannyasis, the sannyasis of ISKCON, some brahmacharis even. They are even given up everything for the satisfaction of Krishna. There was a pastime, lately there was a very famous Ativardhar temple in Varadaraj Perumal temple in South India, Kanjipuram. There was one pure devotee there by the name of Kanjipurna. Kanjipurna was so pure, he was a simple brāhmana, but he was so pure that he was able to speak to the Lord. He was able to speak to the Lord and he was communicating with the Lord. So there was there's a few pastimes. Okay, one pastimes that he says, one day Ramanujacharya, the Sri Samadaya famous Acharya, he was reading Bhagavad Gita. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, at the time of death, you remember me, you can come back to me. So he was confused. He was asking one question. What if I'm devoted, I'm dedicated, I'm serving the Lord, I'm doing everything, but at the time of death, I cannot remember Krishna. What will happen to me? So this was boggling in the mind of Ramanujacharya. So then Ramanujacharya has no option. He goes to Kanjipurna and asks Kanjipurna Prabhu, since you are talking to Varadaraj Perumal, can you ask him this question? That at the point of death, if one who is dedicated and devoted to Krishna, but is unable to remember him at the point of death, what will happen to him? So Kanjipurna said, okay, I will do that question. And Kanjipurna was fanning his job. Kanjipurna's job is to fan Varadaraj Perumal and to give him beetle nut after prasad, after bhoga offering, after prasad he'll give. So fanning, then he gives the beetle nut, and this is the best time to ask the Lord because the Lord is very satisfied. After meal, very full, I'm full, So he's very, very satisfied. So he asks, my dear Lord Varadaraj, there's a question by Ramanujacharya, and the question is, a devoted, dedicated, serving devotee, at the point of death, he dies, but unable to remember you. What will happen to him? Then the Lord Varadaraj will say, my dear Kanjipurna, please go and tell Ramanuja, even if the devotee forgets me, I will not forget him. So this is the beauty of our movement. Prabhupada never forgot his servants. Krishna doesn't forget his servants. So the point for us is to ensure that we remain servants of Prabhupada and Krishna. That is the point. The whole goal, the whole movement is that. So that's one story. Then there was another story. So then Kanjipurna one day when he was thinking, I've been asking a lot of questions for so many other devotees. I never asked a question for me. I've never asked a question for me. So he's thinking, what question should I ask Lord Varadaraj? So he says, the best question to ask Lord Varadaraj is, when can I go back to Krishna Lok? So he goes and he feeds him betel leaf. And then he says, my dear Lord, I've got a question for you. He says, yes, Kanjipurna, what is the question? When would I go back to you? Then Lord Varadaraj starts talking, you are a very kind person, you're a very nice person, you make first class betel leaf, your fanning is perfect, but you got no place in Vaikuntha with me. Krishna says, Kanjipurna Prabhu was shocked. I'm right beside the Lord. I'm serving him. I'm giving him bitter leaf. I'm making sure. But why? He said, why? Then he says, that is because you have served me very wonderfully. But my heart is not with me. Vaham tistami vaikunte, yogenam hirdeshuva, mat bhakta gayanti, aham tistami narada. Where's Krishna? Krishna is not in Vaikuntha. Krishna is not in any of his lokas. Krishna is where devotees are chanting and reciting his name. That is where Krishna is. So he says, you have never served a single devotee of mine in your life, Kanjipurna. How can I grant you a place in Vaikuntha? How can I grant you a place in the spiritual world? So immediately Kanjipurna drops his betel leaf, drops this one. He runs to go and serve a devotee. And then he goes and serves a devotee. He serves his spiritual master, but in a very hidden form. He serves him. And then he comes back. And then he bows down to Lord Varadaraj. And Varadaraj Perumal says, Kanjipurna, now you have qualified yourself to be heading to the spiritual world. So that's number 5. That's number 4. Human life purposefully. Austerity penance, very important. Material attachment, no. Serve Mahatmas, pure souls. And then number 5, he speaks about brāhmaṇas and Vaishnavas. He says brāhmaṇas are in the mode of goodness, brāhmaṇas. But then he says Vaishnavas are even far greater than brāhmaṇas. Vaishnavas are so great. Why? Because Vaishnavas dedicate their lives for the service of Krishna. And when Vaishnavas dedicate their lives for the service of Krishna, Krishna dedicates his life for that Vaishnava. So that is the catch. So there is only one link between Bhagavan and Bhakta. The only link between Bhagavan and Bhakta is Bhakti. The only way we can try to please the Lord is by serving pure devotional service, which is Ṛṣabhadeva's 6th teaching. 6th teaching is performance of devotional service. So Ṛṣabhadeva's teaching about Brahmana and Vaishnava, then he goes to devotional service. So devotional service, what is devotional service? Like what I've explained just now, to love and serve the Lord unconditionally. There must no conditions on serving the Lord. Of course, it is very difficult. Practically speaking, it's everybody has some condition. But this is where the training process takes place. The training has to be there. We should train ourselves, train our mind, start serving the Lord. And what best time to do? And today I was so inspired when I read Prabhu was announcing that 3,600 over books were sold in Delhi yesterday. If we can sell 10 books in a week, we are like, wow, we have done such a great achievement, but 3,600. So the greatest service that we can do for Prabhupada, of course there's many services, but Prabhupada's call this book distribution as family business. And I can see why the temple is flourishing and moving so nicely. That is because of your book distribution. Book distribution really satisfies Prabhupada. So this is the 6 teachings of Prabhupada. And then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Man manabhava mad bhakto mad yajimam namaskuru. 934, 1865. Now, it's a battlefield. Correct? War is going to happen. 45 minutes, only 45 minutes spoke the whole Bhagavad Gita. And if Krishna is repeating, Man mana bhava mat bhakto, mat yaji mam namaskuru, what does it mean? If somebody is repeating, if any school teachers around, anybody teaching Gurukul, if you keep on repeating something, what does it mean? It is very, very important. So only 2 verses that Krishna repeats in Bhagavad Gita is 934 and 1865. Man mana bhava mat bhakto, mat yaji mam namaskuru. Only 4 things to do. Man mana, always think of me. Chant Hare Krishna, read Bhagavatam. Man mana bhava mat bhakto, become my devotee, serve me, serve my devotees. Mat yaji, think of me, mam namaskuru, pay obeisances to me. Only 4 things. Krishna says, I'll take you back. So Prabhupada always asks, so what's the difficulty? There's no difficulty. We are the one who's making ourselves difficult. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, after 1866, he says, Sarva dharman parityagya, mahamekam saranam vraja, ahim tvam papi bhoja, moksha yishyami masucha. Krishna says, forget everything else, surrender to me, I will take you back. Then Krishna says something else. Krishna says, 2 things, you have to go and give this message to everybody. That's what you all are doing. You all are doing distributing of Prabhupada's literature, distributing of Prabhupada books, distributing of Bhagavad Gita. This means that you are actually going and approaching people and giving the supreme secret. So Prabhupada, Krishna says that if you give the supreme science, supreme secret to devotees, then pure devotional service is guaranteed. So that is why devotional service is so important, because we will ensure that we always stick to the lotus feet of Krishna. And Krishna says one thing, one last point Krishna says, you can do all this, but only one thing doesn't qualify you to become into this whole system, is being envious. Being envious is something that is no in this Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna keeps on repeating about enviousness, 1867, 1868. Krishna keeps on repeating about enviousness. There was a king. He was distributing a lot of prasad for everybody. He was distributing. So at that point, there was an eagle who kills a snake, and he was flying on top. He was flying. So a drop of poison from the snake falls onto the prasad that the king was distributing. Nobody saw. And the king was distributing. And a few people died because of it. So now Yamaraj had a big issue, big problem. Now whose karma is it? The king doesn't know. He was distributing. As the king was distributing, the snake is already dead. The bird was already carrying the snake. He also don't know. So now, who do we distribute the karma to? Who do we distribute the sin to? So then there was another group of brāhmaṇas, from far away. They heard about this king distributing prasad. So comes and asks one of the person in the village. He says that he asked, where is the way to the palace? He is the one who distributes a lot of prasad. We want to go and get some prasad. Then the man says, the villager says, oh, the king that gives poison to him? Oh, that way. So then Yamaraj says, okay, give all the karma to this guy. Give all the karma to this guy. So, and also comes with the teaching of Mahaprabhu, Jagai Madai. We all know Jagai Madai's story. Jagai Madai is the most celebrated pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. How glorious is Mahaprabhu, and how even more glorious is Nityananda Prabhu. How glorious Nityananda Prabhu is the expansion of all our ācāryas are expansion of Nityananda Prabhu. Imagine how glorious is Nityananda Prabhu and how glorious our ācāryas. They go everywhere. I know some Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Gosvāmī Maharaj. I saw him in Russia. The weather is, it's so cold, and I see every day. I see Facebook, Sadhu Prabhu's Facebook. Maharaj sitting 4:30 in the morning in the cold weather doing Mangala Arati. We are like so inspiring to see the sadhus. They are so merciful. They are teaching us. They're teaching us how to do it. So I forgot the point that I wanted to say. Okay, it just slipped my mind. Okay. So Nityananda Prabhu. So then after the pastime has taken place, where Jagai was given the mercy, then Madai was given the mercy because Mahaprabhu forgave him, Nityananda Prabhu forgave him, and they were all brought to a hall, and they were all doing heavy kirtan. And Jagai and Madai's body, because of their sinful activities, they became black because of sinful activity. In their previous, in that same birth, they were Jaganananda and Madhavananda, pure brāhmaṇas, who were well versed with scriptures. So what my Guru Maharaj spoke in his lecture, he said that Jagai and Madai, every morning they will open scriptures, Garuda Purāṇa, and they will see what new sin to do. What new sin to do today. And what he said, that every one of us will have one Yamaduta taking all our, what is our sins and things like that. But for Jagai and Madai, they had hundreds of them to taking, because they cannot keep track with their sins that they were doing. And they had a storehouse where they kept their files. It's not just one book, two books, they had storehouses. But Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, out of their costless mercy, just wiped their sins. So, and then they brought it into a room, and then they were all chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, very loudly chanting. And then devotees at the back, they say, Jai Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jai Nityananda Prabhu. They have eradicated the sin of Jagai and Madai. The sinners Jagai and Madai has already been eradicated. They all say, then immediately Mahaprabhu stops the kirtan. Mahaprabhu says that there is a lot of enviousness and sins that is being done by Jagai and Madai. But after they have surrendered to Nityananda Prabhu, the sins are all been eradicated. Then immediately the bodies of Jagai and Madai from black will turn into white. And Mahaprabhu's body will absorb all that sins, and Mahaprabhu's body will become as black as Krishna. And slowly the black color of Mahaprabhu will dissipate. And Mahaprabhu will say, whoever speaks about sin of others will share this sin of Jagai and Madai. So that is how poisonous enviousness is. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So I would like to conclude. First of all, thank you to Sadhu Prabhu for allowing me this opportunity. Thank you, Prabhu. The 6 points of Ṛṣabhadeva. Number 1, human purpose of life is not to work very hard. Number 2, austerity and penance is an important point in a human devotee's life. Number 3, material attachment is a no-no. Number 4, our serving sadhus, serving Mahatmas is very crucial. Number 5, the point of the Vaishnavas are absolutely far greater than any other positions. Why? Because they are surrendered to Krishna. And number 6, the only way to attain the Lord is by pure devotional service. Thank you very much. Any questions? No questions. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Jai Shri Radha Parthasaradi ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Namah